JavaScript functions and events. A function is a group of reusable code which can be called anywhere in your program. This eliminates the needs of writing same code again and again. This will help programmers to write modular codes. You can divide your big program into a number of small and manageable functions. Like any other advanced programming language, JavaScript also supports all the features necessary to write modular codes using functions. You must have seen functions like alert, document.write in the previous chapters. We are using this function again and again without even having to declare them again. But they have been written in core JavaScript only once. JavaScript allows us to write our home function as well. This section will explain you how to write your own functions in JavaScript. Remember the other time I talked about we have even written a function, but it's just that I did not teach you. And I was telling you the other time that when we write a function, in the other examples, the previous chapters, that we use a submit button. That is until when we click on the submit button that the we are able to see the function is able to load. I told you that when you write any function, that you have to call the function before the function is going to work. That without that, if you just run the page, the function will not run until something trigger that function. That is when it will run. Just go back to the previous chapter about when we discussed about the say hello, that we make use of a button. We use a function. So we are going to teach you now how to create this function. So before we use a function, we need to define that function. The most common way to define a function in JavaScript is by using the function keyword, followed by a unique function name, a list of parameters that might be empty, and the statement block surrounding by curly braces. The syntax is as follows. Let's try this. Let's open a new file. Let's call it function.html. So look at it right now. This is our JavaScript. Then we create, there is a function. Whenever you want to declare a function in JavaScript, you start with the keyword function space the function name. It can be anything. Then you put code. Then inside this code, your parameters can be there. Note, you start with function space the function name. Every function has a name, so that's what we differentiate two function or two or more function that is present inside the same file. In example, the same HTML file. So say hello. So inside this bracket now, there will be a parameter. Inside this function now, there will be a parameter that should be present inside this function. But I will still explain what this parameter, what it does. But for now, let's leave this parameter empty. It has a lot of this parameter is very important, but we are still going to leave it empty. So after that function now, then your statement is now going to be inside the parentheses. So note, function space function name, then in brackets, then the parentheses. So this is where your statement will be, the statement for that function. So when you call this function, the statement that is present inside this parentheses is what will be displayed. But without calling this function, when you run this program, nothing will happen to this statement is not going to bring any output, except every other things that is not present inside the function. But whenever you want any of the statements that is inside this function, then you have to call the function. Then the function will now be the one to render all the content that is present in it. So let's try a simple example. So here now, in this example now, we have function say hello. We make inside this function now, there's a statement alert. And what do we ask it to alert? And I've told you in the previous example about what the function alert, what it does. It's a pop-up box that display message. So right now, hello there. But you discover that if we save this file and we run it, nothing is going to happen. Let's run this file. What's the name of the file? Function.html. So let's run it. Function.html. Can you see? We did not have any output. Why? The reason is because we've declared the function, but we have not called it. And I've told you that without calling a function, whatever statement that is inside that function is not going to run, because you have not called the function. Although we have declared the function says hello, we've declared the way they always declare function, by saying function, the function name, bracket, and parentheses, and inside it your statement will be, you can have 1 million statements inside it, but right now we only have one statement in our function. So right now we only call the function, but we only declare the function, but we have not called the function. So right now, if you call this function now, you are going to see an alert box that will display hello there. So calling a function, we've declared this function now, say hello. So to call this function now, all we just need to do is outside the function, wherever, anywhere inside this JavaScript, anywhere, it can be anywhere, the function name, you are going to write it. The function name, you are going to write it, then you put this bracket, then you end it with a semicolon. So this is how you call a function. So whatever name that you use to declare it here, then you are going to copy it here and end it with what? With a semicolon. But note, capitalization, I've told you that JavaScript is case sensitive. The capitalization matters. Our S is capital, is small letter. That's why we use small letter. I can't want to call this function say hello now and say I want to call it like this, because the function I declare is say hello. The say is capital letter, the small letter all through. The hello, the H starts with capital letter, the other are small letter. But this one now does not exist. This function does not exist. So if you call this, nothing will happen in your program, because this say hello does not exist, because this S starts with capital letter, but the normal function you declare before is small letter S. So just make sure that you notice, you are conscious of that capitalization. So right now we've called our function hello. So when we run this program now, by the time the interpreter is reading this code, it's going to jump this space, because it can't read any input inside the function except you call it. But because you have not called it, it will not do anything, so it will just jump it. So when it gets to this stage now, it will not say hello, then it will know that okay, this say hello is what? Is a function. Then it will now look for inside your code, it will look for where the function say hello is. So once you see the function say hello, then it will now open the statement inside it. Then you are going to see an alert hello there. So if there are a lot of statements inside this function say hello, then every one of them is going to execute, because you have called the function say hello. So now if we save this and we refresh our web page, we will discover we'll see an alert hello there, because we have called the function. The other time we declared the function but we didn't call it. Can you see alert hello there? So we declared the function but we did not call it. That's what happened in the previous example. So now we are going to talk about the function parameters. I've told you that inside the function that we declare now, say hello, does not have a parameter. That is why we did not put a parameter inside it. That's why a parameter can either be empty or you can input a parameter. But that parameter is very, very important. You may be wondering that, but we declare our function and it works now. But there are some times that you may want to pass across a parameter inside the function. Like right now, you only have hello there, a string. But what if this string can change depending on the user that enter it? Maybe you want you to be hello dear Olade, hello dear Bumi, hello dear Dokpe. But you want the users to put their name, and whenever the user put their name, you want it to, the name should display. So that it's not as if you'll be the one to be presetting this every time. So that's why we need parameters. So let's explain using this example. Look at this function now. Look at this function now. So look at this function now. We have function say hello, and this say hello has two parameters. It has the first parameter name, and it has the second parameter age. So right now, if we want to call this function now, all we need to do is we'll call it by saying say hello. But note, this say hello is not ordinary say hello. This say hello normal function has two parameters, name and age. That means the first place has to be your name, comma your age. Name, since name is a string, name has to be in alphabet, digits, strings. That's why we put it inside quotes. Let me say my name is Olaide. Then my age, since age is an integer, you don't need to put that inside the string, 27. So this to tell you that your function, has two parameters. It has it receive name and it also receive age. So whenever you want to pass in, you want to call in the function, the name that you want to use must be there. Is the name is the first thing inside this function, so you must pass in your name, because this function require you that whenever you want to call the function, you must pass in through that two parameters that you already declared. The parameter you already declared, name and age, that parameter, whenever you want to call the function, you must pass in that two parameters with it. The other time, the reason we didn't pass parameters inside this is that when we are declaring the function, we declare the function parameter, we ask it the parameter empty. That's why whenever we want to call it, we have to call it based on parameter what? Empty. But now our function has two parameters, name and age. So whenever you want to call the function, you must pass in through the two parameter. The first parameter is the name. That's why I pass in Olaide, and I place that Olaide inside the quote because it's a string. And age is a digit. That's why I place 27 directly. But what separates that name and age is comma. That's why I separate when I'm calling it, I separate it to comma. So let's save this and see what's our output. So before we run it, let me just explain what will happen to you. So right now, when you call this function, you pass in Olaide and 27. So your name now is Olaide and your age is 27. So when the alert will come out, alert will now be alert name. What is your name? Olaide. You now have Olaide is age. What is your age? Age is now 27. Because this name and age is a variable, is a parameters in function, but also is also a variable that stores data. So you have used, when you are passing this value inside this function, say hello, this name and age, this name will store the first value because the name is the first parameter. To store the first value, this age will store the second value because age is the second parameter and 27 is the second parameter. So when name store Olaide, age will also store 27. So now you now have Olaide is, the age now is now 27 years old. So you now have it as an alert. So let's save this now, and so let's refresh our page. Can you see Olaide is 27 years old? So whenever I want to change the name of the person that display, all I need to do is inside the parameters that I pass in when I'm calling the function, I will edit the name there, and inside the parameters of age, which is the second parameter, because when you declare the function, the first parameter is the name and the second parameter is the age. So whenever you want to call the function, the first parameter should be your name and the second parameter should be the age of the person you want to pass inside the function. So I can say this one is 10. So right now, if I save this, I will have Jide is 10, because our name now will now be Jide and our age will now be 10. Jide is 10 years old. So but it's possible. Let's add two parameters. Let's add the first parameter, address, and this last, let's add another parameter, state. But note, the parameter address that you add is the third parameter in the function. So when you want to call it, it has to also to be the what? The third parameter. But address is a string. It has to be in the quote. Number 3, Adelabu. Then your state is what? Is parameter 4. It has to be here. So it's also a string. So let me just say Oyo. So right now, I can say alert name is this. Also, I will have another alert. I can also include that inside this place if I like. I will now say name. I can say address is my address. Address means whatever the user enter here. Number 3, Adelabu is my address. But note, although I put address here, but this address I put it without inside a quote, without it being inside a quote. That is why it will display it as a parameter. It will display this parameter address, which is number 3 Adelabu. But this address, note, it is placed inside a quote. The system will just sees it as a what? As a string. It will just be address. It's not going to be number 3 Adelabu, because what? This own address I did not place inside a quote. Then the system is going to see it as a variable name. That's it, to see it as a parameter. And what is the parameter? The value of the parameter is number 3 Adelabu. But this one is also address. But this address is placed inside a quote. So it is parameter which this the system will just see it as a string. It will just be address. Address will just be address when they are two to come out. Just like is coming out, and just like yes old is coming out. So here now, this one also is not placed inside a quote. So I can say state. State will also come out. State is my state, or your is my state. So that means we have two alerts. That means we have two alerts button. The first one, Jide is 10 years, yeah. And the second one, number 3 Adelabu is my address, or your is my state. So address and state, the reason they are there is because you place them inside a string. And the reason number 3 Adelabu is able to show is that address that you use here, which serve as a placeholder, that address is not placed inside a quotes. So that's the difference. So you can add as many parameters, but note, whenever you want to call the function, make sure you include all those parameters. So I've already explained this. So let's talk about the return statement. A JavaScript function can have an optional return statement. This is required if you want to return a value from a function. This statement should be the last statement in the function. As I said, the return value should be the last statement. For example, you can pass through number in a function, and then you can expect from the function to return their multiplication in your calling the program. So let's see. Let's try this example. We declare a function called concatenate first last. We call a val full. We now say full equals to first plus last. We now ask it to return full. But right now we only declare the function, but we haven't called the function. We only declare it. So here now we ask the return that we are trying to learn is this, the statement. The full we say is equals to first. That is whatever it got from the first and whatever it got from the second, it will add them together. Then it will return it. It will return the value, that is the full, the addition of these two. But right now your parameter, when you are calling the function, that function must have two parameters, the first and the last. It must have two parameters, so that we ask as the first parameter of it, we ask as the first, and the second parameter we ask as the last. So let's copy this program. Look at it. When I want to call it, I name another variable. I call it results. I now say result equals to my function. The function is what? Concatenate. And I have told you that the concatenate has two parameters. First, that means Zara acts as our first and Ali as our second. But what I just did is that instead of me to just say concatenate, I should just call this function and it should return full. I want to store whatever value that is inside this concatenate. I want to store it inside the results. Then I now ask it to alert whatever value that this thing has stored inside the result. I want it to alert it out. It's just as simple as that. So right now, the value should be Zara Ali, because Zara, when you use add for string, it tends to bring them down. When you say Zara plus Ali, because first is Zara, second last is Ali. When you now say Zara plus Ali, it will be Zara Ali. So you now say return full. What will be returned? Return will be Zara Ali. So that Zara Ali, you now store it inside results. But note, you must already create the result. You must already create it. The variable, you must already create it. That's why we create var result. So Zara Ali will now be what will be the result. So you now want to alert result. And what is present inside result? Result is Zara Ali. Then your output will now be a message box that contains information Zara Ali. So let's refresh this page. Let's refresh. So you have an alert Zara Ali. Can you see Zara Ali? So when you use plus, when you are concatenating two names, as in two things that is strings, then everything will tend to write together. The two is going to tend to write together. Even if it's three, they will just match together. That's the meaning of the plus. But this code that is present when you are calling the function, this code that is present, it means you are it means this parameter is a what? Is a string. This code is a string. So if I want it to be a calculation, a normal calculation, I will not place it inside quotes. I will place it inside. I'll just say 3, 2. Normally I'm expecting 5 now because 3 plus 2 we add themselves normally, a normal integer, because it will sees my first as an integer and my second as an integer, and they will be added. So right now you should be expecting, so concatenate 3, 2 will give you what? 5. The result will now be 5. So you should be expecting 5. Can you see? 5. But note one thing. Even though I use 3, 2, it's because I did not put them inside a placeholder that is acting as a string. That is why you see. That's why he had it. But let's say I put this inside the quote. I put this 3 inside the quote. This 3, the function is going to see this 3 as a what? As a string, and it's not, and it's going to see this 2 as an integer, and it's not possible for a string to plus an integer. So what you have, it will be what? You have 3, 2, because it will take this 3 as the first 3, it will take it as a string, plus 2, it will take it as an integer. So integer cannot plus a string. It's not possible. That's why you just have 32. So instead of you to have 5, you have 32. So the same thing happens if I place this 2 also inside a string. Normally it's system is supposed to be like 3 plus 2, but assuming you don't place them inside a string, like you don't place them inside the quotes, like the previous example, you have 3 plus 2, you have 5. But now that they are inside the quotes, the function is going to see them as a string. And a string which is 3 and a string which is 2, they cannot plus themselves. So that's why the answer you have is what? You have 32 in this example. But assuming you are not placing them inside the quotes, then you are going to have your 5. So let's save this and refresh. Can you see? You have 32. So that's JavaScript calculation. So, advanced concepts for functions. There are a lot to learn about JavaScript function, but I have put the following important concepts in this tutorial. What is an event? JavaScript interaction with HTML is handled through events that occurs when the user or browser manipulates a page. When the page loads, that is an event. When the user clicks a button, that click too is an event. Just like what we did the other time on click, when I was talking about events, on click event. That's JavaScript will just load until it will load if and only if that user click on that event. That is, if and only if that user click on that button, that is when the event is going to load. So that's just about JavaScript event. So we have various types of events. The first one that we have is the what? The on-click event. We've tried this example before. So refer back to the previous chapter so that you'll be able to understand. I've already explained this example, but I'll just do a brief explanation. Right now, when this code loads, when you run this program now, you discover that the code is going to jump this. Why? Because in this JavaScript now, you have a function, and I've told you that a function cannot work unless somebody clicks on the function. But this something is going to load. When this page loads, this function is not going to work, do anything. But inside your body now, you have a what? a button, a submit button. You have a button, and the button name value is what? Say hello. You have a button that says hello. But now inside this button now we have an on click event on it in it. And that on click event says that on click event means that when user click on that button, open function what? Say hello. I've told you that a function cannot operate except somebody calls the function. So right now we are trying to use an on click event. That is, when user click on the function on the button, we are asking it to open the function. So that means without a user triggering the function say hello, the say hello function will never work. So right now we create a submit button. We now add a on click event inside the submit button. We now say that on click, it means that when user click on it, then inside this code now we now ask it to open the function say hello. When user click on it, then open the function say hello. So when you click on this button now, you are going to see alert hello world. So that's just the on click event. We also have the on submit event, and this is what happens when you are trying to validate, like in case of Facebook. In the previous chapter that we are trying to talk about the registration form in Facebook, that's what happened. There is the on submit event that happens, whereby the validation, the JavaScript code that validates the page, it will only be accessible when the user click on the submit button. So when the user click on the submit button, then the function that will validate the page is going to load, and it will be able to tell you that okay, this field is not okay, this field is okay, this field is need to be corrected, you need the invalid email address here, you need the valid, all those kind of information. So it's until the user click on the submit button, and that's what we refer to as the on submit event form event. On submit what? On submit form event. We have the on mouse over and the on mouse out. These two event types will help you to create nice effects with image or even with text as well. The on mouse over event occur when you bring mouse over any element, and the on mouse out occur when you take mouse out from that element. What we are trying to do is that we are going to run this example. Look at it now. We have two functions now. We have the first function. We have function over. We say alert mouse over. Function out. We say mouse over, mouse out. Here now we have a div. We call the first div. Under the first div, we say you should have what? On mouse over. And on mouse over is an event. On mouse over means if you move mouse towards whatever is that content. Like now, our content is this is inside the division. When you move mouse inside this text, then mouse on mouse over is going to take event is going to take place. And the on mouse over event, what would happen? It will open the function what? Over function. And what is function over? This is function over. So what is the content of function over? You will now see an alert board that will say mouse over. But immediately you take your mouse away from this text, this div, because this div is the one that has this this event. Immediately you take your mouse over, then on mouse out is going to work. And the on mouse out event, what will it do? It will open the function out, and that is why you see an alert box that will say out. So let's try this example. Let's run this example. So let's save this. So let's refresh our web page. Can you see? Can you see? Let me refresh it. I've told you that we have a div on mouse over. When I put my mouse inside it now, it's working with mouse. The event is working with mouse. There's a div, and inside that div, this is inside a division is there. Look at it. Can you see? The mouse, you can see where my mouse is. Look at where my mouse is. Stop here. That's why you see that there is nothing showing. There is nothing showing. None of the function is operating now. Why? Because I only say that when I mouse over, that is when my mouse is over this text, this is inside the division, then I want it to open the event on mouse over. and that event on mouse over, what will it do? It will open the function over. And what is function over? You will see mouse over. But immediately you will see function mouse over, then there will be an alert mouse over. But immediately I now took away, is I bring my mouse inside the test. This is inside the division. That is why I'm able to open alert mouse over. But when I take my mouse outside this test, this is inside the division. When I take my mouse outside it, what happens? The event on mouse out is going to pick up. And when the event on mouse out pick up, what will you have? You have out function. Then out function is going to load, and I'm going to see an alert mouse out. So let's try it. Right now, I want to bring in my mouse over the test. This is inside the division. So let's see what will happen. Can you see? I did not click on anything. No, I just drag my mouse. That's mouse over. That's why you see mouse over. So now let me take my mouse outside it, and let's see what will happen. Let me take my mouse outside it. So let's click OK. If I click OK now, can you see? So if I take my mouse outside, I will see mouse out again. So by the time I bring in my mouse, let me refresh this page. So when I bring in my mouse over, and when I take my mouse out, I will see mouse out. So that's just about the event. So you can practice it using different. So that's about the on click or the mouse over. So we have HTML4 standard events. The standard HTML4 events are listed here for reference. You can use this for reference. I believe I've already explained to you. So with what I've explained, you understand about all these events. So yes, scripts indicate a JavaScript function to be executed against the event. We have the onChange events, the onSubmit event. I've tried this. OnReset event, onSubmit, onSelect event, onBlur event, onFocus event, onKeyDown event, onKeyPress event, onKeyUp event, onClick event, ONDBL click event, onMouseDown event, onMouseMove event, onMouseOut event. I've explained this. Or mouse over event. I've already explained this. So for the course of this tutorial, please just search Google. You can search Google on JavaScript on mouse events. Then you'll see a lot of codes there. Then you can use it. For it right now, you've already understand what, as in how we come across it and how we are going to integrate the code. You already know how to run the code, JavaScript code. You know how to run it inside the HTML page now. So just search Google. We can, because of this tutorial now, we have a lot of things to cover, so we can't be covering them one by one. So what I just want you to do right now is search Google. Search, maybe for example now, you can take the onClick event. Just say JavaScript onClick event. Google will bring a lot of things, a lot of content on it. Then you can read it, and all the code that it shows you, you can practice it yourself, so that you have an advanced knowledge about everything we are trying to pass across. So because of time, that's why I stop at the on mouse over events. I've already taught you the onClick, the mouse out, and the mouse over. So the rest you can learn it yourself. Or better still, in this code that we just try right now, instead of on mouse over and on mouse out, you can replace them with any other event that you've not used before and run it and see the output. If that one also works, then you will edit it to another one again. Then you try, up to you try everything, so that you know the way they are working. Or you should search Google. So that's on that. So another thing that we are going to talk about is cookies. What are cookies? Web browser and server use HTTP protocol to communicate, and HTTP is a stateless protocol. But for a commercial website, it is required to maintain section information among different pages. For example, one user registration ends after completing many pages. But how to maintain user section information across all the pages? In many situations, using cookies is the most effective method of remembering and tracking preferences, purchases, commissions, and any other information required for better visitor experience or statistics. You may be wondering that what is the meaning of cookies. Let me just explain in a simple way. When you register in a particular site, let's take a Facebook for example, and you register, you log in. When you log into your profile with your username and password, immediately you click on login, there will be a small pop-up box that will show, that will ask you that you want to save your password. You say yes. When you save the password and maybe something happens, you shut down your system, you unback your
Avast virus database has been updated.
you run back you unback your system and you go to facebook.com. It will not take you to the even though you have shut down your system, it will not take you to the login page again. It will just take you directly to your profile. Why? Because during the time you log in the first time, your information is already saved on your system. It's saved in form of cookies. So next time, you don't need to start supplying the same information that you have supplied previously. All you just need to do is you have to log in, as in you have to go back directly to your profile. The same thing happens to Gmail account. If you log into a Gmail account now and you enter your account and you close your browser, by the time you open the browser and you press gmail.com again, instead of taking you to the login page, it will just take you directly to your profile page, because your information has already been saved in the first time that you log in. So that's just, it's safe making use of cookies, and that's what we are trying to talk about in this section. So let's see how it works. Your server sends some data to the visitor browser, that is to your browser. It stores some data inside it, so that when next you want to log in, you don't need to start entering that data. The data will just log you in automatically and goes directly to your profile without you even seeing it, that is using the information. So normally when you log into a site, you're supposed to ask for your login, but because your login information is already saved on your system using with cookies, then it will just take you directly to your profile. So this is how it works. Cookies are a plain text data record of 5 variable length field. Expires. The date the cookies will expire. So that means if you log into a site now and the cookies, they've stated it that it should be 1 year. So that means anytime you are logging in with that same browser, it will still be logging you to your profile. It will just be logging you in. It will be logging you in. You don't need to supply your username and password again. Anytime you go to, maybe you go to facebook.com, it will just take you directly to your profile. But if the owner of that website has set the expiring of their cookie to 10 years, immediately you are using that browser, if you use it up to that 10 year, immediately you go to that 10 years like this, even though that cookies is still stored inside your system, but because the cookies has expired, it will take you to the login, that you should log in again. And most sites, they only set their cookies to, it's not even up to 10 years, it's not even up to a year. Some are months, some are weeks. So if a browser is not asking you to log in your information every time, they may just set it to like 2 weeks. So you may continue to log into Facebook and it will be taking you to your profile. But once that 2 weeks is up, even though your information is still stored inside your system, inside your browser, it will still ask you to log in with your username and password because the cookies has expired. We also have domain, the name of the site that has this cookie, because in your browser now, you are going to a lot of sites. How will your browser track the owner of the cookie? How will your browser track it? The browser have to track the owner of the cookie, making use of the domain. Then we also have the path. The path to the directory of the web page that sets the cookies. Example is, if you want to log in now, login page of the Facebook is different. Like my own Ewebtutor login page now is ewebtutor.com/admin.php. That's the login page of Ewebtutor. The login page of Facebook is also different. So each of the sites has their own login page. So this page now is what we refer to as the path. We also have the secure. If this field contains the word secure, then the cookie may only be retrieved with a secure server. Secure server are server that make use of the HTTPS request. Then we also have the name and value. The cookies are set and retrieved in form of the keys and the value. Example is, the key can be web, and the key can be your name, then the value of that your name. The key can be username and the value of that username. Maybe you are using Ola, your password, or maybe you are using 1991. So that is the name and the value. So let me just show you an example of how cookies are stored in Mozilla. Let's go to the Mozilla. Let's go to the options. So let's go to the security, save password. So this is also an example of a cookies. Can you see? Here now, this is the site. I don't know, most of this information that we mentioned here, the expiry, the domain, the path, secure, name and value. The only thing that is showing here when you go to the save password inside Mozilla is the site and the username. So the username just signify the usernames. So the username signify the name of the feed, and each of these things that are there is the value. So, and this is the domain. I've already explained all these things for you inside the parameters, the 5 variable length parameter of the cookies. So this is just the site. So in each logic system, my username is market. In ewebtutor.com, my username is market. mbgs.com.ng, my username is this. So this is a name and these are the values, depending on the what, the domain. So depending on the name, the domain, these are my value, and the username that you have here is the name. I also have another name that is called the password. So, and each of these password also have a value inside it. So by this domain name has a two value. It has the username, it also has a password. So, and each of these username and password has a value. So this information now is stored on my system. So whenever I want to log in, the domain that I want to log into, like eastloginsystem.com, will not ask me for my username and password again. They will just use the username and password that is present inside this cookie. They will use it to log me in, and they will just show me my profile directly. Just as simple as that. So that's just about cookies. So cookies are originally designed by CGI programming, and cookies data is also automatically transmitted between the web browser and web server. So CGI scripts on the server can be read and write cookies value that stores on the client. So JavaScript can also manipulate cookies using the cookies property of the document object. JavaScript can read, create, modify, and delete the cookies or cookies that applies to the current web page. So storing cookies. The simplest way to create a cookies is to assign a string value to the document.cookie object, which looks like this. This is the syntax. So right now, let's try an example that stores cookies. So look at it now. Look at this example. We have a function, we call the function write cookies. We use the function document.myForm. When you have document dot, anything that is after this document dot is always your form name. I explained to you when we are talking about the HTML, every form always have a name. So the reason every form always have a name is that, like facebook.com now, you discover that they have two forms in their own page. They have the login and the register form. So how will the system understand that this is the register form, this is login form? Is through their form name. So my form, look at it now, capitalization matters. I name my form, and that's why I say document dot my form. So anything after this my form dot here is the name of the feed. So here now I have a feed name customer. That's it. It may be a text box, it may be a button. Yeah, it's a text box. I have a text box name what? Name customer. So that's why you say document dot my form is the form, dot customer is the name of a feed inside that form, dot value is what the customer, the thing, as in the value written inside that that feed at that particular time. The value of that feed at that particular time is the dot value. So what we are trying to say is that if document dot my form, which is this form, dot customer, which is a feed inside that form, dot value, that is the value that the person enter inside this customer, that's just the meaning. The meaning of all this long code that you have here now is just the value that the customer enter. That is to say, the value that the person enter inside this test feed is the document dot my form dot customer dot value. That's it. The value that the person enter inside this customer feed, the value they enter inside this customer feed is what we have here. So we now say if that value is empty, we ask it to alert what? Alert some values. If the values that the person enter here, if it's empty, we ask it to alert a pop-up box. It will not say enter some value. But note, this thing now that you have here is what? Is a function. But how did they call this function? because every function has to be called. Where did they call it? They call it here. This is function write cookies. They call it here using what? An event. And what is the name of the event? On click event. That is this is a button. So when the user click on this button, then on click event is going to activated. And when on click event is activated, what will you do? It will open the function write cookies. And what is the function write cookies? The function write cookies now. This is function write cookies. Then the function write cookies, what is the statement inside it? The statement is that if whatever the user entered inside the customer feed, if it's empty, then it will ask enter some value. It has not finished. Then it will now say cookie value to create a it will now say cookie values is equals to escape document dot the value that the person enter. That means if this is correct, that is what we mean. That if this is correct, what we are trying to say is that if whatever the user enter is empty, it should do this. Else, if whatever they enter is not empty, then we want it to do this inside the function. So with a single on click event that opens write cookies function, so with write cookies function, all this statement that is inside our write cookies function is going to work. But right now, before it works, it will first check whether whatever they enter is not empty. But if it's empty, it will alert enter some value. But if it's not empty, then cookie value will now be the value of the person. Then this is where you set the cookie. Set document dot cookie. I've told you that whenever you want to set a cookie, you make use of document dot cookie. So this is where we set our cookie. We set document dot cookie equals to the name of the name plus the cookie value is what the person enter here will now be the cookie value. Name here now we simplify like what our own now. When I check this, when I check the browser option, when I check this, all these things that you have here is the name. Sorry, this thing now is the name. Username is the name. Password also is the name. But what each of these things that are here is the value. So here now we name it what? Name. Then we give it a value of cookie value. Then here we now say alert setting cookie. Then the name is equals to the cookie value, whatever the user enter, because we have said that whatever the user enter here should be the cookie value. So whatever the user enter should be the cookie value. But when the user enter an empty things inside the test for post customer, you should say enter some value. So let's save this and see what's happened. So I don't want to enter anything first now. Let me just click set cookie. But when I click on set cookies, the on click event inside that button is going to open the function write cookie. So when it's open the function write cookie, and here now I said if what the person enter in the customer feed, if it's empty, you should say enter some value. So if I didn't enter anything and I click here, I should see enter some value. Can you see? That's what I see. But if I enter something, let's say I enter the 1 and I click, so let me just put the 1. So once I click on set cookie now, then it said set cookie name the 1. So I'll click OK. So now the cookies has been set now. So I can also write another cookies yeah, and click on set cookies. This one also has been set. So right now we are only learning how to write cookies inside this chapter, but the next chapter we're going to teach you now how to read cookies. But for right now, the only thing we want to make sure in this chapter is how to write cookies. But in the next chapter we're going to teach you how to read cookies. So just hold on till the next chapter. So the next chapter you learn how to read cookies. So for the course of this tutorial, please just go through this content so that you have the theoretical knowledge about everything we are trying to pass across. So thank you so much for being there.